Every single thing that exists has a story. It has an origin story, the story of how it was made. It has a transportation story, the story of how it got to you. Look at the clothes you're wearing right now and pick an item. Now look at the tag. Where was it made? Who grew the materials needed to spin the fabric to make it? Who sewed it together? How many other items do you think they made that day? How much did they get paid to make it? What kind of life are they living? And now think about yourself. How long have you owned this item? How many times have you worn it? Did you just buy it? Is it in good condition still? I bet you can find one thing on your body that you purchased in the past few months. If not that, I bet you can find an item in your closet that you purchased in the past few months. Where are all these clothes coming from? And why do we buy so much? When did the times change? And who changed them? The answer to that is the fast fashion industry. Hi guys, so before I get into this video, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe so you don't miss my new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and follow me on Instagram. Did you guys know that us as consumers bought about 60% more clothing in 2014 than we bought in 2000? Did you know that 97% of the clothes purchased in the US are made overseas? Did you know that 250,000 Indian cotton farmers committed suicide in the last 15 years due to the pressure to purchase genetically modified cotton seeds in order to produce the amount of cotton that the industry is demanding of them at this point? Did you know that an average garment worker in Bangladesh earns about 33 US cents per hour to make clothing? In Cambodia, a garment worker might make around 85 US cents an hour, and in India, factory workers maybe make around 58 cents an hour. I'm sure you can put together that is not nearly a living wage. So when did everything change for fashion? Because we all know, even growing up, I grew up in the early 2000s, and people didn't buy nearly as much clothing as they purchase now. The trends weren't going in and out so quickly. It was just a much slower world. So basically what happened was the fashion industry as a whole used to have just 4 seasons. Now, the fast fashion industry is an industry that kind of cropped up in the last 15 years, I want to say, and they have a different style of making clothes, and they actually have 52 seasons a year, which is 1 new season every single week. Now, not only are they creating 52 collections a year, but they're also releasing these collections at dirt cheap prices. You guys know, you walk into Forever 21, you can get a shirt for $5. And I think we all know that it didn't used to be like that. This is a pretty recent development. So the whole model behind fast fashion is essentially purchasing as many items as you can in a year and getting rid of as many items as you can in a year. That is exactly what these companies want us to do. I'm sure that you guys have purchased something new in your closet recently, and it's exciting. It's like, ooh, I got this new thing. It was only $10. You don't even think about it. It's just like you purchase some new clothes and you have new clothes and you're good to go. And then 2 weeks later, you get some more stuff. Now, to play into this, fast fashion companies use a strategy called planned obsolescence, which basically means they make clothes to fall apart. So I'm sure we can all guess that by now. It's not really a secret, but the clothes that you get from these companies are not high quality. They get holes in them, they stretch, they change into a completely different shape after a couple washes, and they become completely unwearable after a very short period of time. Now, they're doing this on purpose because how else are they gonna sell out 52 collections a year? So since we shop in a competitive market, there's so many companies who are free to charge whatever they want, then if Forever 21 is charging $4 for a t-shirt, then every other company is gonna try and have to match those prices or to beat those prices. And this causes companies to go overseas to developing countries, to contract factories to produce their clothing for the prices that they need them at. So for these factory owners in these countries, they have to keep up with what the companies want from them. Forever 21 doesn't have a Forever 21 factory. They basically go to a factory and say, hey, make this for us. And if this factory doesn't comply with those costs, if they don't meet the standards, then Forever 21 can just go to another company. They do that on purpose. They contract factories on purpose so that they don't have the responsibility of it being their employees. They're just contracting a factory. So the way that they get these clothes for so cheap is that these factory owners are pretty much forced to pay their workers virtually nothing because they have to keep up with it. So it's kind of just like the big companies up here putting pressure on the little factory and the little factory owners putting pressure on their workers. So basically everything kind of trickles down and it ends up with mistreated, underpaid workers creating so many garments a day. It's not even possible for them to keep up with the numbers that these companies are asking for. It results in horrible, horrible working conditions for these people.
A garment factory has collapsed in Bangladesh,
killing more than 1,100 garment workers and injuring 2,500 others.
These are brands and retailers who work very hard to create as much distance as possible between the reality for the workers who make their products and the consumers who buy and wear those products.
Workers at the Rana Plaza building told local media that they had seen large cracks in the structure yesterday. Some reportedly did not want to go back in today, but were told they wouldn't be paid.
9 out of 10 workers interviewed in Bangladesh cannot afford food for their families or for themselves, causing them to skip meals, go into debt. A lot of times, just like in the factory that collapsed in Bangladesh, these buildings are not taken care of. There can be harsh chemicals, the temperature isn't regulated. These people, mostly women, will work long hours in order to meet the quota. The defining characteristic of fast fashion, the constant cranking of new trends to consume, drives production targets that can never be met, putting female garment workers at risk of severe physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. So in general, the women who are creating the clothes that we wear every single day, they're not being paid enough money. They cannot provide for their families. Some of them are actually dying. They're working so many hours a week for literal cents every single hour. They're working in terrible, unsafe conditions, and they're actually being abused most of the time. So you have to ask yourself, is it really worth it? Now, it isn't a roast to anyone who buys fast fashion because first of all, it's obviously extremely affordable. So it's understandable if you buy fast fashion because you can't afford anything else. But also, I'm sure that most of you watching had no idea that this was happening. I know that I didn't even know the extent of it until recently. We don't think about where things come from. Like, why would you think about that? You just think, oh, this is $6, great, I'm gonna buy it. But I encourage you guys to question, like, next time you see something for so cheap, why is this so cheap? Is it gonna last me a long time? Did the people who made it actually get treated fairly in the process? I think that just in general as consumers, we're taught not to think. We're taught to purchase as much as we can. It's capitalism, it's consumerism, and I fall prey to it all the time. It's very, very difficult to live in a world that is so consumer-based when you are trying to go against that. It's like super, super difficult. It's not our fault that people are creating these things. Like, we can't really do anything about what they're doing. So obviously the best thing that anyone can do is stop buying fast fashion altogether, completely switch to clothing companies that are ethical and all that good stuff. But that is really hard because in order to produce clothing in a good way, it has to cost a lot of money. So if you can't afford those companies, if you can't afford to save up and buy more expensive pieces less, I would just say, number one, thrift shopping is the most readily available, popular option, I would say. Thrift shopping is a great option because there's so much clothing that already exists in the world. ThredUp is an online thrift store. I haven't used it before, but I know that a lot of people like it. But also just buying less. So if you have to buy from these fast fashion companies, just really monitor how much you're purchasing and how often you're buying stuff. And if you get stuff more than once a month or whatever, then make a goal to just lower that. But I do want to tell you just kind of how to spot a fast fashion retailer, because there are honestly a lot of brands that I did not know were fast fashion that are. And just to kind of define fast fashion, I just want to say it's a clothing company that is creating mass amounts of clothes per year using factories overseas from wherever they sell their clothes and not treating those factory workers well. So some brands that are definitely fast fashion: H&M, Forever 21, Zara, Topshop, Pretty Little Thing, Fashion Nova, Victoria's Secret, Lululemon, Urban Outfitters, and Target. Oh, Target. It kind of encompasses everything, guys. Something like Lululemon is a little bit more shocking to me because I thought that since their clothes are so expensive, then maybe they're higher quality or made in better conditions or something. Turns out, doesn't matter how much your clothes cost. Lululemon uses factories that are really terrible, just like everyone else. So the way that you would figure it out is kind of like what I said in my greenwashing video. If you want to watch that in the description, just look at their website or just Google like the name and then put like fast fashion or put like factories. It's pretty easy if you put factories, because then you can see whether there are like lawsuits against them. Just do your research if you're questioning it. It's generally pretty damn obvious, unless they're greenwashing you like H&M. Please watch my greenwashing video if you haven't watched that already. Quitting fast fashion is probably the best thing you're going to do for the environment, for people in general. The beauty of this all is that the power is in the consumer. If we make it clear that we don't want crappy clothes anymore, if we make that clear to companies and we start supporting other companies who are choosing better practices and making better decisions, we can actually change something, which is so cool. Because I feel like a lot of times when you're trying to be sustainable, you're trying to make a good change, then it's like, oh, I can't do anything, there's no point. But in this instance, we really can do something. So if you can, quit fast fashion altogether. I haven't bought anything since December 2019. That was the last time I bought anything from a fast fashion company, and I hope it will be the last time I ever buy anything from a fast fashion company. You can make a difference in these people's lives. We can help these workers in other countries. We can raise the standard for these fast fashion companies and get them to stop doing this. It's gonna take a long time, but we can do it. Do what you can, do your best, try your hardest, and don't give up.
Wear brown shoes after 6. Wear a hat indoors. Wear a short skirt after 40. Wear a short skirt if you're a man. Show your panty line. Go commando. Cover up. Show it all. Be trashy. Be neat. Wear pink. Wear blue. Wear yellow if you're blonde. Wear red if you're a redhead. Wear socks and sandals. Look fake. Look chic. Look shake. Be a princess. Be boring. Take a stand. Be uniform. Be liberated. Be old. Be new. There are no rules in fashion, but one. Recycle your clothes.
Okay guys, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss my videos every Wednesday and Sunday. And comment below if you have any questions about fast fashion, if you have any thoughts, anything about your journey with quitting fast fashion, and if you guys have any facts to add to this. I really like having my comments as like a discussion, so if you guys see anyone who has questions, feel free to respond. This is like freaking Yahoo Answers up in here. I used to love Yahoo Answers as a child. Comment below if you have anything at all to say about fast fashion, because I'm sure that people could use your help. And also, if you know of any ethical clothing brands or shoe brands, or really any brands for that matter, small businesses, etc., comment those in the description because we need them. Us consumers are looking for other options. And also make sure you guys check out my channel with my husband, Dani and Emmyn, and also check out my husband's channel by himself, Games We Play. He has a band, he has music, and he also does a cooking show, which is hilarious. So check out my other channels and have a good time quitting fast fashion. Goodbye.